On September 4, 2025, a violent hailstorm turned the French city of Gap into what looked like a winter battlefield in the middle of summer. In less than 30 minutes, nearly 1.3 inches of rain fell, and hailstones the size of golf balls hammered rooftops, shattered skylights, and flooded schools, supermarkets, and city streets. When the skies finally cleared, entire neighborhoods lay buried under a frozen sheet of ice, as if December had arrived 4 months early. For residents, it was sheer chaos. False ceilings collapsed in classrooms, water poured through shattered windows in shopping centers, and cars stalled at intersections that had turned into icy rivers. Firefighters were overwhelmed, fielding almost 50 emergency calls in just 1 hour. Power lines snapped under the weight of fallen trees, plunging dozens of homes into darkness, while more than 120 households across neighboring regions were left without electricity. What unfolded in Gap wasn't just another summer storm. It was a chilling reminder of how swiftly extreme weather can strike, leaving entire communities scrambling for safety. The storm that would devastate Gap began brewing over the rugged valleys of the Haute Alpes that afternoon. Warm, late summer air clashed violently with a surge of cold, unstable air sweeping down from the north. Along the Bouech River, thunderheads mushroomed with frightening speed, feeding on the sharp contrast in temperature and surging humidity. Within hours, the system exploded into a violent cell packed with torrential rain, hail, and relentless lightning. By early evening, it barreled toward Gap, carrying an enormous plume of moisture. Meteorologists later measured nearly 1.3 inches of rain in under half an hour, an astonishing rate for a mountain town. Though the storm pressed onward toward Chorges and Aspres, it was Gap that bore the brunt of its fury. For thousands, the evening commute turned into a desperate battle against nature's assault. By early evening, Gap was under siege. Streets became torrents as storm drains overflowed, intersections filled knee-deep with icy water. Cars stalled and drifted sideways, their headlights flickering beneath a moving blanket of hail. Residents described the deafening roar as hailstones battered rooftops, shattered windows, and dented vehicles within minutes. At Fontre Middle School, ceiling tiles gave way under the weight of pooling water, forcing an evacuation. Across town, the Super U supermarket suffered a collapsed skylight, sending rain and hail crashing onto aisles of goods. The popular Kiabi clothing store was forced to close as water surged across its floors. Entire neighborhoods like Fontre and Park were submerged in icy runoff, while Rue Carnot, one of the city's busiest streets, was transformed into a raging white river of slush. Social media erupted with images that stunned the world. A mountain town in southern France buried in ice on a September evening. For Gap's 40,000 residents, this was no fleeting storm. It was total disruption unfolding in less than 30 minutes. Emergency services were pushed to their limits. In just 1 hour, firefighters logged nearly 50 calls for help, an unprecedented surge for a city this size. Rescue teams rushed from crisis to crisis, pumping out flooded classrooms, clearing fallen trees from roads, and helping families trapped in rising water. At the Quai des Arts Cultural Center, water seeped through the ceiling into the boiler room, threatening to shut down the entire electrical system. Firefighters deployed pumps in basements where desperate homeowners tried to save belongings from icy floods. Fallen trees blocked major roads, stranding commuters as night closed in. Crews worked tirelessly, waist-deep in slush with chainsaws, pumps, and flood response vehicles. Despite the chaos, by 7 p.m., authorities confirmed no casualties, proof of the firefighters' relentless efforts to hold disaster at bay. Meanwhile, the city's infrastructure began to crumble. Power outages rippled through neighborhoods as hail-laden trees snapped and crashed into high-voltage lines. In the Savoyan district of Fermi, 66 homes went dark instantly. In Montmort, 4 more residents lost power. In Gap itself, at least 60 households were left in darkness before nightfall. The crisis stretched beyond Haute Alpes. Grid operator Enedis reported over 1,200 homes without power in the Drôme department, and nearly 300 more in Ardèche. Repair crews struggled to reach damaged lines as roads were blocked by debris and floodwaters. Transport collapsed too. Rail traffic on the busy Valence-Lyon line halted after a lightning strike crippled overhead wires. Commuters were stranded in stations as technicians scrambled for emergency repairs. What began as a local storm in Gap spiraled into a chain reaction of failures across southeastern France, exposing just how fragile modern systems can be when battered by extreme weather. Gap may have taken the worst blow, but the storm's reach extended far beyond. In the Drôme, rainfall exceeded 4 inches in mere hours, triggering flash floods that swamped rural roads and small towns. Neighboring Isère and Ardèche recorded nearly 2.5 inches of rain as torrents rushed through low-lying areas, while hail shredded crops in the countryside. Météo France placed much of southeastern France under orange alert, the nation's second highest warning level, for severe thunderstorms, torrential rain, and intense lightning. By Thursday night, more than 15,000 homes across 3 departments were without power, and rail disruptions rippled through regional hubs. What began as a violent cell over the Bouek River had swelled into a sprawling system that paralyzed entire communities, leaving millions under threat as night descended. Behind the statistics were lives suddenly upended. Families in Gap spent the night scooping water out of living rooms with buckets. Others rushed to cover broken windows with plastic as hail continued to rattle down. Schools evacuated children as ceilings sagged with waterlogged tiles. Supermarket staff scrambled to save merchandise from flooded aisles. Residents called the scene surreal, like a snowstorm dropped in September. Parents clutched their children, guiding them through ice-covered streets. Neighbors worked together, pushing stalled cars out of intersections clogged with slush. For a community of just 40,000, the storm wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a collective shock, a brutal reminder that even in Europe's heart, nature's extremes can strike without warning. Meteorologists were quick to note, this hailstorm was no ordinary squall. In under half an hour, nearly 1.3 inches of rain fell, one of the heaviest short bursts since 2022. Experts warned that rapid urban growth and outdated drainage systems left the city dangerously vulnerable. Schools, supermarkets, and cultural centers were never built to endure torrents of ice crashing down all at once. Climate scientists pointed to a troubling pattern. Warmer air holds more moisture, amplifying storm intensity. Combined with shifting jet streams, violent hailstorms once considered rare in Europe are now striking with increasing frequency. This is not an anomaly, one forecaster warned. It's a glimpse of the new normal. Without stronger infrastructure and climate adaptation, even moderate storms could transform European cities into disaster zones, just as Hurricane Lydia did in Mexico, and now hail has done in France. In just 30 minutes, Gap was transformed. Streets buried under ice, schools and supermarkets crippled,